Have you ever felt like your brain is broken, even when you're doing everything right? Like something just doesn't feel right. Is there something wrong with me? I want you to listen to how a neuroscientist explains what could be happening to your brain. Check this out.
The brain is basically designed to be customized in the early part of life and then to implement those algorithms and that circuitry for the rest of its life. And so the brain can change in adulthood, and it can change provided that there's an emphasis on some perceptual event.
So, there's three common explanations that could explain what's going on. The first one is a biological or a neurochemical dysregulation. In other words, one of the explanations could be a malfunction of the brain. To say something is malfunctioning is to say it is not working as it was intended to. What does this mean? We know that serotonin plays a big role in mood and emotional regulation. We know that dopamine does as well. To say that you're feeling this way because there's an imbalance of serotonin would be an oversimplification. Even though serotonin does play a big role, it's not the only variable because there's some other things going on as well. For these clients, they come to me and they say things like, I don't feel like myself, or my default is I feel sad. I don't want to do anything. And what's interesting is, I ask them, tell me about your relationships. They'll say, yeah, they're fine. Yeah, my relationship with my wife is fine. So, well, tell me about how's work for you? And they go, yeah, that's fine too. And what really makes me get curious about the malfunction is when they can't point to the thing that is making them feel this way. They're decently satisfied at work. They're decently satisfied in their personal life. So that makes it even trickier to find out what's going on. This is when I stress the importance of talking about meditation, sleep, exercise, and nutrition. We want to look at a person holistically. Are they vitamin deficient? Do they have other medical histories? What does, from a genetic perspective, do their parents have histories of mental health challenges? It's important to note that biology is rarely the whole story, and it's one piece of the pie. So when we think of a malfunction of the brain, when we think of possibly depression in this sense, it's not that you just feel negative all the time. It's that the sweetness and the beauties and the positive things in life feel less fun. They feel less exciting. So that could be one aspect, a possible malfunction. Option number two is this could be an adaptive pattern that is harming you. Here's just a brilliant quote by Dr. Kanoja, a psychiatrist who goes by Healthy Gamer online. He said, trauma is not a malfunction of the brain. It is an adaptation of the brain that has become maladaptive. So when we think about PTSD, when we think about trauma, hell, maybe not even trauma, because when I say trauma, people are going to say, well, Daniel, I'm not a war refugee. I didn't go to war. I wasn't assaulted. Maybe that might be a charged word. What if we use the word conditioning? What if you were taught, hey, if you ever open your mouth about something good that's happened to you, you're going to get shut down because don't be braggadocious. What if you got taught at a young age, every time you shared your opinion, people said, nobody cares what you think. You're better off keeping your mouth shut. You're there to be seen, not to be heard. So from a CBT, from a nervous system perspective, our brain is constantly learning, and it's trying to figure out what keeps us safe. And it says, okay, what are the behaviors I can engage in that will minimize the bad things that will happen to me? If you grew up in an environment where you always had to stay alert, you had to be mindful, you had to be the parent, you were responsible for everyone else's emotions, your brain may have learned to stay on all the time. So what's actually happening is this is a protective pattern that no longer fits your current life. So someone's brain at some point figured out like, oh my gosh, like if I need to do this. If I don't, my dad is going to yell at me. Or if I don't do this, my boyfriend or girlfriend will see right through me and leave me. Or I need to do this assignment on time or otherwise this happens. So I will feel anxious to engage in a behavior to protect myself from getting hurt. So now my brain has learned, oh, don't speak. Don't take risks. Don't say this in front of people. When someone compliments you, shoot them down. Don't you dare accept their compliment because they don't mean it. There's a punchline coming. They're going to make fun of you. This is not your brain malfunctioning. This is your brain using a strategy that at one point was beneficial and is no longer now. Another concept or another idea that could be happening is it's not a malfunction of the brain. It's not a maladaptive response. It's actually a toxic or invalidating environment. So this is something people overlook a ton when they go to coaching or therapy. People will show up and it's like, yeah, we have to change your thoughts and we'll do a thought monitoring record and all that's great. But sometimes, folks, it's the environment, right? If your boss is racist or sexist and they're a problem, the solution isn't, well, how can we change your thoughts, right? The solution is like, dude, the problem is not my perception. It's this very real thing. So we need to change our environment if we can. If you're in a chronically stressed job, an unsafe relationship, misaligned environment, your distress is completely accurate and not pathological. So a big differentiation between the malfunction or between the environment is when I meet clients and they tell me I feel super depressed and we can't point at the culprit, I lean towards malfunction. When they tell me I feel super depressed, I go, what's going on? Well, I found out my wife was unfaithful. We're going through the divorce. I'm not sure what's going to happen to the kids. Or I just failed out of my class. It tanked my GPA. As a result, I can't get that scholarship, meaning I can't actually go to school. I have to decline the offer. Like there's a very tangible environmental thing that leads me more to this one. So in those cases, it's not the mind at all. It is actually a very accurate understanding of what's going on in the environment. So what is the benefit of putting these three together? I want you to be mindful of asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what did my system learn? And what does it need now? This is often the moment that people realize, I am not broken. My brain has just learned to do these things in order to protect me. And there was a moment in time where that was useful, but that is no longer the case. I was in a relationship with someone, let's say, who made me feel less than. Now I've broken up with them. I'm dating someone else, but I have the same habits that I had with my ex. Does that make sense? Right? So if you did things and they made fun of you for it, you're less likely to do it, even though this is a different human being. So what do you do about this? Take some time and reflect. The number one thing is, what experiences in my life shaped the way that I think today? Was it a comment that a parent or a teacher made? Was it something that a partner had said? Was it a specific situation? What is the positive or protective mechanism that my system was using to keep me safe? The best advice, folks, that I could ever give you is talk to a professional. Talk to someone one-on-one, whether it's a coach, depending on what you need. This is more like trauma specific that I'm going towards, or more moderate levels of depression. So a therapist or a counselor would be preferred over a coach, because they can get a real good understanding of what's going on for you specifically and then tailor that based on what would support you the most. And finally, the best thing you could do for yourself is non-condemningly observe your thoughts. Notice the thoughts that you have about, I shouldn't be here in life. I should be better. Why did I do that? I'm such a loser. This is so embarrassing. And notice that you are not your thoughts. You are a person who is having these thoughts. And as you separate yourself from the thought, that is the first step of moving in the right direction. Folks, what I've just explained, is not something one does in a night. This is a process that takes days, weeks to work towards. If you've been thinking a particular way for 23 years, you think you're going to listen to this podcast or video, and in one 9-minute video, it's going to rewire your brain from all those experiences that taught you the complete opposite? Be patient, be compassionate. Most importantly, be realistic. If your brain has learned something, it's going to take some time to unlearn it. All I'm saying is give yourself patience, give yourself time. If this was helpful and you want to learn more, you saw value in it, share it with someone who you think could use it. Subscribe, like, stay tuned for more. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.